Let's face it, having bad credit is really expensive. Not only are you denied of the best credit cards, anytime when you are approved for a loan or mortgage, you get the worst terms and have to pay much higher interest rates or even additional fees. This is a problem you can actually fix on your own, and it's worth putting in the effort to turn it around. If your credit score is under 670, this video is for you. Let's dive in. The first step in fixing bad credit is to understand what's on your credit report. It's like a report card that lenders use to evaluate your credit worthiness. You don't need to pay to get a report. You have the right, under federal law, to get free credit reports every 12 months from all 3 major credit bureaus: Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Go to annualcreditreport.com to get your free copies, and make sure to get reports from all 3 companies. After you get your reports, the first thing to do is look to see if there are any errors. Errors on your credit report can affect your credit score. According to a study conducted by the Federal Trade Commission, 1 in 5 people have an error on at least one of their credit reports. Some common errors to look for are identity errors, such as misspelled names or wrong addresses, or accounts belonging to another person with same or similar name. Also look for incorrect account due to identity theft. Another common error is account status errors. These are closed accounts reported as open, same debt listed more than once, or incorrect date of last payment or date of the first delinquent. Then there's balance error, showing incorrect current balance or credit limit. If you find any items on your reports that are not accurate, you have the right to dispute it either in writing or online using the dispute forms on their website. The burden of proof is on the lender. By law, they are required to verify the information with the creditor within 30 days. And if the error cannot be verified, it must be deleted. Next, look for your credit utilization ratio on the report. Credit utilization ratio is a key factor that makes up 30% of your credit score. It's calculated by dividing the total amount of credit you are currently using by the total amount of credit available to you. For example, if you have a $5,000 credit limit and you currently have a balance of $1,500, then your credit utilization ratio is 30%, which is considered high. Lenders see a red flag when the utilization ratio is higher than 30%. Ideally, you want to be using only 10% of your overall credit limit. Lowering your credit utilization ratio is the fastest and the easiest way to fix your credit score. The most effective way to lower your credit utilization ratio is to pay down your existing balances. Try to pay off as much as you can, and ideally, aim to get your balances to 0. Another option is to ask for an increase in credit limit. This can instantly lower your utilization rate, but use it responsibly and make sure you don't use the additional credit to spend more, because that just defeats the purpose. If you have a spending problem, this may not be a good strategy for you. The next step is to review your credit reports to find the derogatory marks that are negatively impacting your scores. We will discuss ways to resolve these negative items in a moment. The most common negative item for a bad credit score is late payment. Late payments typically appear on credit reports when an account is 30 days or more past due. Next, look for account charge-off. This means the lender or creditor has written the account off as a loss, and the account is closed to future charges. This usually occurs after 5 to 6 months of delinquent payment. The balance due on the charge-off account will show as 0 balance on your credit report. Your debt is likely handed over to a debt collector, and you are still legally obligated to pay this debt. Then see if you have any accounts in collection. After a lender declares an account charge-off, it often sells the debt to a collection agency or a debt buyer for pennies on the dollar. The money you once owed to your lender is now owed to the debt agency. Then there's repossession, which is when you can't pay for an auto loan or other loans secured by collaterals, and the creditor takes possession of the property due to non-payment. Next, see if there's foreclosures, which is the result of not making mortgage payments for a few months and the lender taking ownership of the property. Lastly, there's bankruptcy, and filing for bankruptcy is a legal proceeding, and that's often the last resort for those behind on debt. Most of these negative items will fall off your credit reports after 7 years, except for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which will stay on for 10 years. Now that you've learned about these negative items on your credit report, here is how you go about removing them. A late payment can drop your credit score by as much as 100 points. Late payments appear on credit report after 30 days past due. The later the payment goes, the greater the damage it is to your credit score. So having multiple late payments is a lot worse than having just one. If you have late payments on your credit report, pay off anything that is late and bring your account current as soon as possible. The longer you drag on, the more likely it will affect your credit score. And if it goes beyond 180 days, it will likely be sent to collection. So pay off as soon as you can to avoid this from getting worse. If you have trouble paying a bill on time, reach out to lender and see if they can work with you. Many lenders are willing to work out a payment plan instead of letting it turn into an account charge-off. If you brought your account up to date, but the late payment still shows up on your credit report, contact the lender or write a goodwill letter asking it to remove the negative mark. Explain what led to the oversight and let them know that you've paid up now. It's not guaranteed that the lender will remove the derogatory mark, but it's worth a try. Follow up with a phone call on your goodwill letter and maintain a good payment history so that you remain in good standing with your creditor. For account charge-off and account in collection, you probably already know about them long before you see them on a credit report, because you likely are being bombarded with letters and phone calls. Collection agencies are notoriously aggressive trying to get their money back. The first thing you should do is gather and confirm all the details on this debt. If something isn't correct on the credit report, you have disputing rights, and that could provide some kind of relief, ranging from reducing your debt to removing the charge-off from your credit report. Check details like the account number, the creditor name, open date, charge-off date, payment history, borrower names, and balance. Pay special attention to things like dates and the amount owed. If you find erroneous information regarding the account, you now have a right to dispute the charge-off with the credit bureaus reporting the information. Be prepared to supply supporting documents and back up your claim. If there is indeed an error, then the credit bureau must correct or remove the charge-off in compliance with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. But if this debt is accurate without any errors, then the next best thing is to try to pay it off. A paid charge-off will have less of a negative impact on your credit score. If you can't pay the full amount, see if you can negotiate for a reduced balance owed. Because debt collectors, they often buy the debt at a small fraction of what you actually owed and profit anything above that. So creditors may be willing to negotiate because they would rather get some money than nothing at all. So negotiate with the creditor for a pay-for-delete agreement, where you pay the debt in exchange for removing it from your credit report. Make sure to get all the terms of the agreement in writing. The letter should be on an official company letterhead, and the more detail, the better. Then there's repossession, foreclosure, and bankruptcy. Removing these 3 items from your credit report is going to be very challenging, although not entirely impossible. As mentioned earlier, if you can find errors in these items, then you can dispute the inaccuracies in the reporting and see if you can get it removed. The best thing you can do is try to improve everything else, like paying bills on time and keeping your credit utilization rate low. There you have it. You can fix a bad credit score on your own. If you are successful in getting these negative items removed from your credit report, you will see this reflected on your credit score. This will help you drastically and save a lot of money and time when you apply for a mortgage, a credit card, a car loan, or even a personal loan. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you think this video is helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. It will help others to find this video on YouTube. See you in the next one.